TSA PreCheck or global entry? I get this question so many times, so I decided to do a quick video on it where I will tell you the cost of each, the benefits of each, so you can make the decision of which one is best for you. And if you are new to my channel, 3 days and Tres Noches, it would mean the world to me if you consider subscribing. I bring you honest resort reviews, but informational videos like this one so you can have the best vacation and best travel experience as possible. Let's start with TSA PreCheck. So this is going to be for people who travel frequently within the US, so domestic travel. So probably if you're traveling for work, or again, if you travel frequently. The cost is $78, which is good for 5 years, and the process is pretty simple. There's a government link. I will put that in the description. You follow that, you put in all your information, and then you find a location near you that does the in-person interviews. Background check is required, also proof of where you live, and all of that is on the website on what they need for you to bring to the interview. So why would you want this? Well, if you do travel frequently, then usually airports have a separate TSA PreCheck line where you don't have to take off your jacket, your belt, your shoes. You're going to get through security a lot quicker, and the lines are usually a lot less. Versus global entry, which is what I have. Again, this is more for people who travel a lot internationally. But in my opinion, even if you are only traveling one time internationally and then you make other domestic flights during the year, I think global entry is worth it because the cost is $100. At least that's what it says, but actually I just did it for my son. It was $120. So I think they just raised the price. So it's not that much more than TSA PreCheck. It is the 5-year membership. So you get it for 5 years, but then you have the TSA PreCheck as well when you travel domestically. And what global entry gets you when you are coming back from an international flight, to me, is worth all of the money in the world. I'd probably pay even a lot more for this because when you're flying internationally and you come back to the US, you have to still go through passport control. And usually those lines are insane because it's not just your flights, it's all of the international flights are coming through. In fact, we just did this recently. I had global entry, my friend didn't, and the line took like an hour and a half. The beauty with global entry is it's a complete separate line. No one's ever in it. You just basically walk up to a face recognition kiosk, the doors open, and you're home free. The process is a little bit more involved, and yes, it does cost a little bit more money. I will include the government link for this one as well in the description. You just follow it, and you have to go through a pre-approval process. So it's an application, you upload some documents, then they get back with you within a week. And then after that, if you get approved, you have to schedule an in-person interview. So normally the in-person interview for global entry has to take place at the airport versus TSA PreCheck. They have designated places. I think even Staples sometimes you can do this. But what I did, and which is really cool about global entry, is some airports allow you to do this upon arrival. So I was coming in from an international flight and I scheduled my interview to happen when I arrived. So that way I didn't have to wait in the passport control lines that take forever, and I could do my interview right then and there. I think it took maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I had all the documentation that is necessary, and then they approved me. And again, I was home free. Now, not all airports have this. I fly out of Newark mostly. So that was definitely a benefit. I just set this up for my son too. It just makes it so much easier. You don't have to take a separate trip to the airport. And then you're kind of doing two things in once because you're arriving without global entry, but you still do not have to wait in that long line. So it's definitely a win-win. So even if you're just traveling internationally one time a year, I personally think it's worth it. It's only $100. And then you can do the interview when you arrive. So you don't have to do all these separate steps. You can just do the application online, and then you still get the TSA PreCheck if you ever fly domestically. Another great tip is some credit cards actually will give you a credit towards these fees. So make sure you check that out for both TSA and global entry, depending on what credit cards you have. Now, another thing you may have seen in the airport is Clear. This is not a government agency, it's a private company, and not all of the airports have it, but I see it popping up a lot. And so it is different in the fact, again, it's just for domestic flights. It costs a lot more. So it's $189 per year, but you don't have to go through any of the security stuff. So basically, it does a face recognition, you don't even have to show your ID, and then you get to basically walk through security. So this is great, especially for people who travel for business. This is something that your company might cover. And if you are traveling with any kids under 18, they can go through the line with you. Or if you want to add family members, it's only $99 each to add them. Now, I personally think TSA PreCheck is enough, but again, if you fly a lot and you don't want to have to get to the airport hours in advance, you want to get through those lines, the Clear might be a good option for you. And this is something I wish I would have done a long time ago. I just got my global entry, I think, a year and a half ago. And that's why I wanted to make this video, to inspire somebody, because I just thought it was going to be too expensive. I thought the process was going to be too lengthy. It was actually really easy. And it's only $100 and it lasts you for 5 years. So that's like just $20 a year basically. And the last thing that you want to do when you're traveling internationally is to sit through an hour and a half line. And of course, if you have any other questions about these, drop them in the comment section below. I do try to respond to all comments and questions. Keep following me. Please subscribe to my channel. And you can also find me on TikTok and Instagram. And exciting news, we are now booking travel, so I will put all of that information in the description below.